And we'll do a couple, get warmed up, and then we will maybe skip around and look at some harder ones if you want to. It doesn't matter to me. Well, let's see what's going on here. The angle of elevation at the top of the cathedral from a point 300 feet away from the base, sun level ground is 60 degrees. Find the height of the cathedral. We set these up earlier in the chapter. There were problems like this. Here's the cathedral. I'll draw it the way they did before, so we have the same orientation. So here's the cathedral, and the angle of elevation from the point 300 feet from the base is 60 degrees. Now, do you all remember that this is the angle of elevation?
Is that the same thing as angle of depression?
And that's the same as the angle of depression. So if you were at the top looking down, or if you're at the bottom looking up, your angles are the same. These are alternate interior angles. Okay?
It's okay.
This is the angle of elevation. This is the angle of depression, but they're interchangeable because they're always the same thing. Maggie, why is your hand up?
I was going to ask a question.
Go ahead and ask.
I was going to say, does the angle of depression and then the angle that it's connected to, does that form 90 degrees?
These two together would be 90, yes, because that's perpendicular. Okay, now, what do we want to know? Find the height of the cathedral. So once you get your picture drawn, and these are all going to be right triangles. Now in the next chapter, we're moving into not right triangles, but for now, they're all right triangles, so you're going to think SOHCAHTOA. You're going to look at the angle and the sides relative to that angle. So which side is this?
That's
Opposite. This one is adjacent. So we will use tangent. Now, I don't know if you heard Harvey's question earlier, but he said, because you had a quiz question similar to this. He said, could I use cotangent? And the answer is, technically, yes, you can use cotangent, but you wouldn't want to do that because we're going to solve this now, and we need a button on our calculator that we have, right? So we're going to always set these up in terms of sine, cosine, and tangent so that we can type them into our calculator. So your equation would be tan 60 equals x over 300. Now, because the angle's 60, you could actually do this one without a calculator, right? Because 60 is a special angle. But we're going to use our calculator for all these. So x will equal 300 tan 60. Very, very simple. My only caution to you is be sure you're in degrees. Otherwise, you won't get the right answer. So I'll check that. 300 tan 60 is 519.62. And what's our unit? Feet. You want to make sure you label each of your answers. Now, does anybody have a question about that? It's pretty simple, isn't it? What? Yeah, got to be in degrees. Now, let's try one more of the simple ones, and then we'll skip around maybe and look at something that might be harder. Okay, number 2. From a point 100 feet from its base, the angle of elevation at the top of this arch, so here's the arch, the angle of elevation to the top of the arch is, 34 degrees, 13 minutes, 12 seconds. So we got to remember how to put that into our calculator. How tall is the monument? Is this a very similar problem to the one we just did?
Yes.
What function will we use? Tangent. So we'll say tangent 34, 13, 12 equals x over 100. So x will equal 100 tangent, 34 degrees, 13, 12. Now, let's go through that to make sure everybody remembers how to put that into our calculator. We'll type 100 tangent, 34. Now, do you remember how to get the degree mark? Second angle. An angle is above your apps button. And the first option there is degrees. Do this with me. Let's make sure we know how. So we type 100 tangent, 34, second angle, degrees, then 13 second angle again, but click down to the minute mark. And then 12, and where do we get the seconds?
Bottom
Do
right.
you determine the degree?
Alpha, bottom right.
Yeah, it's the plus sign, above the plus sign, so you gotta type alpha plus. And you should have gotten as your answer, oops,
Solve it.
68.01, is that feet again? Yeah. 68.01 feet, I probably should write feet. Now, if you forgot how to type that in, lean over to your neighbor. Let's get that sorted out so that we don't have any issues because of that. We do not want to have issues.
We'll do tan 34. God knows it. Where you at?
Poor timing. It made it poor timing.
Close that parentheses. Times it by 100. Oh. No.
All right, let's look at 15. It's a little bit more challenging. Remember, the ones we're doing now, you do not have to do for homework. So keep track of this, or this will become your homework page if you want. All right, let's look at 15, see what's going on. Okay, so here's the bridge thing. And it has an observation deck on it. And the angle of elevation from an observer to the bottom edge, so this angle of elevation is 30 degrees. But when the same guy looks at the top of the bridge, this angle is 40 degrees. Do you understand that as you read the problem? On test day, I will not draw the pictures for you. You need to be able to read the problem and draw the pictures. So do you see how we got a guy standing here looking at the bottom, the angle's 30 degrees. Looking at the top, the angle's 40 degrees. Everybody okay with that? Now I need to know something else. What did I miss? Oh, he's 200 feet from the base. Okay. Now, what do we want to know? We want to know the height of the observation deck. Oh. I don't know. What's your interpretation of that? The height of the observation deck? Do you think it means just this right here, or do you think it means the whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing? I don't think so. I think it means just the height of the deck itself, right here, just this, right here.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't really need our vote for enough.
Yeah. So how do you think we're going to do this? Do you have an idea?
Find the 40 and find 30, then subtract it.
Oh, Stephen says, look at the bottom triangle. Let me call this A, right here. Just look, forget this little top part, just look at this bottom triangle. Could I find A?
Yeah.
The tangent of 30 equals A over 200? With me? Now, could I find B? What would be my equation for that? Tangent 40
B over 200.
equals B over 200? Now what am I going to do? I'm going to solve both of those equations, and then what am I going to do to get this little guy right here? Subtract them. So it's very much like the two problems we've already done. It's just two of them. There's two of them in the same problem. So what does A turn out to be? 200 tan 30. So A is 115.47, okay. And then 200 tan 40, this is 167.82. So we'll subtract. Oops. And I got 52.35. What about you? and that would be feet. Let's see. Let's look at number 18. We got this boat traveling at a speed of 40 knots from Fort Lauderdale on a course of 60. Oh my gosh, you guys.
Oh goodness, what?
Well, read it, Harry.
Read it to us.
You don't have a book.
You got me.
All right. So let's see what's going on here. This, we gotta know our navigational stuff. Oh goodness, let's see if we remember. Okay, here's my compass point. So here's where the boat's starting, right here. Now he's gonna travel on a course of 65 degrees. Now remember, navigationally, things are a little different. Navigationally, this is 0, and this is 90. So if he's on a course of 65 degrees, that's going to look like this. That's 65 degrees. That's a course of 65 degrees. He's traveling at a speed of 40 knots. Knots is nautical miles per hour, so that's a speed. He's going 40 miles an hour for 2 hours. So how long is this? If he's going 40 miles an hour for 2 hours, this is 80. And then he changes course. So now I'm going to put another compass point here, and he's going to change course. Now he's going to go on a course of 155. Now what's 155 going to look like? It's going to look like this. This is 155 degrees. Remember, due north is 0 and 90 is east. So 155 would be down there someplace. Would you agree with that? And what does he do then? He must be going the same speed, and he's going for 4 hours. So how long would that one be?
160.
Wouldn't that be 160? Now, he is now here. This is the original port. So we want to find out 2 things. We want to find out how far he's away, and we want to find out what direction he's ultimately at. Wow.
To appreciate.
So what do we know? Do we know anything about this picture?
You've got sides. You can figure out.
We know the angle. We know that we can.
I don't know any angles in the triangle, but could I figure any of the angles in the triangle out?
Yeah.
This one would be the easiest, I think, to figure out. If this is 65, kids, if this is 65, would you agree this one is also 65? These are alternate interior angles, parallel lines cut by a transversal. If that's 155, what's this part? 25, because that's 180. So this total angle inside the triangle is how big? That's a 90-degree angle. Remember, I promised you all your triangles would be right triangles? That's going to change soon, but right now they're all 90-degree triangles. So if we know this leg is 80 and this leg is 160, it's going to be easy to find this one. Be careful, isn't this the hypotenuse?
Yeah.
So we'll just do a squared plus b squared. So 80 squared plus 160 squared, and I'll square root that. So this is 178.89 miles. To be technically correct, that's nautical miles, which are a little bit different than regular miles. Okay, everybody okay with the Pythagorean theorem? Okay, so this could be a real problem, you guys. Let's suppose this is some kind of cruise, okay? And up they go and they sail a while, and then they turn and they sail a while, and then all of a sudden their engines stop, or they start sinking, or something happens. Here is the rescue boat. We got to send the rescue boat to get those people. So we can say you got to go 178.89 miles, but now we have to give them a direction, right? This would be the direction that we would give them. So we need to find that angle. Now we already know this much of it's 65. We need to find this angle. Can we find that angle of the triangle?
Yeah. No.
Oh, yes, we can.
Yes.
Let me call that y. The tangent of y would equal 160 over 80. This is a right triangle. What does tangent equal? Opposite over adjacent. How do I find an angle? What button do I have to press? Second tangent. Actually, that's just 2. So second tangent 2 is 63.43. So what direction are you going to tell the rescue boat to travel?
65 plus 63.
128.43 degrees, go on a course of 128.43, these two added together. That's the hardest one, I think. Let's look at 17 and at least get something set up here. We're going to run out of time. Number 17, the Coast Guard cutter travels. Okay, they drew a picture of it for you on a course of 95 degrees. So you need to remember this would be 95 degrees. And that length is 60. And then he changes to a course of 155. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong problem. Course of 185. For 2 more hours. And then he starts sinking and we have to send the rescue boat out for him.
Oh, wonderful. That's 5 miles an hour. That's a 90-degree angle.
This is a 90-degree angle. Now, I promised you they would be, so even if you didn't know that, you would just guess that. But what's the logic? How do I know that's 90 degrees?
95 and then 185.
This right here is 5, so this is 5. This right here is 5. So we took 5 away here, added 5 on there. Isn't that 90 degrees? Doesn't that make sense? So how would you find the length? Pythagorean theorem again. How would you find this angle would be the answer? This is actually the answer. But first you would find this, right? And then add it to 95. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Your homework is 1 to 18, whatever one you can do. So give that a shot, see how you can do with those. Stephen, would you hit the off button? Great. Have a good day, people. We'll start reviewing in the next few days. We're looking at a test sometime the first part of next week.